Good evening, traders. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you on Wednesday, April the 20th, with a recap. A number of positions we got into obviously took off today. Apple, which I didn't personally get into, but did take a position in the queues on about midday for a earnings play. And it was a small position, but I was looking for a move substantially higher tomorrow on Apple and Google. So I took the cues, and as you can see, we've been seeing this pattern over and over and over. These descending channels either coming down to the 100 or 200, but typically a major moving average, and then moving higher. We had a breakout here. We have Bollinger Bands compressing, and these should expand nicely tomorrow with this candle. The last trade on the Qs was 58.43, so that's this candle here. I just threw that in just to see where that would be. We could see this move higher tomorrow with Apple continuing. Amazon, as you already know, was a play I took on the 23rd and made quite a run here to the highs. We moved back to the 50 EMA. I said that I was watching, and I just drew in that parallel line, as Johnny does, just to give us an idea where a descending channel could be. We retraced to what looked like a retest of that line, and I took positions here and here on these two candles, and we had quite a pop this morning. I actually got out this candle right here and missed this one, okay, but did quite well, so I wasn't complaining because we just based out the rest of the day at the highs. So that's Amazon. Notice that we're compressing here on the Bollinger Bands too, and stochastics has moved lower, so we have a little bit of a divergence there. Now in the case of CCK, I took this just before Johnny mentioned it, so I'm looking for this to continue higher, obviously. Stochastics on the 30-minute is in the meat of the move. If you look at MACD, you can see that it's already starting to move higher and approaching across on the 30-minute. Typically this is just a little bit behind the stochastics just because of the period that we're talking about. So you can get the stochastics moving higher for quite some time. 30-minute, you can see that we're just now starting to cross, and the hourly looks good as well. So CCK looks good for continuation. I note that the 50 EMA that it traded down and then closed right at the 50 EMA. So feeling pretty good about this one, even though stochastics is turning down somewhat. We could see a follow through tomorrow back into this candle. So depending on how big of a move we get, I may take those off before the weekend. Okay, on Thursday, being Friday. This is a long weekend with the Easter holiday. I also took SWKS on this candle here. Actually, it was this candle, right? I got stopped out on this one, got back in on this momentum break of the 200 EMA, and I was very comfortable with this trade going into the end of the day because we broke the short-term moving average to 10, this dotted line right here, and we closed, the last was at 28.76 after hours. So I'm looking for this to continue up. Maybe this doesn't get rejected by the 20 EMA, which happens to be right in that area. Okay, 28.76 was the last. Hopefully we can trade through that in the morning. Depending on how the position does at that level, I may take some off. I mean, I'm really ambivalent about keeping any trades on over the long weekend. Okay, I'm just thinking about taking profits and working on new setups. However, you can see Skyworks is embedded up here in the overbought territory on the 30-minute and the 60-minute. As Johnny had mentioned once before, with the stochastics down here, if it continues moving higher, we have enough momentum to break out of this descending channel. So that might be a trade that might go to 31 or so. So I might leave a couple on just for that move above the trend line and see if it gets there, and take the bulk of them off. I have 526s and 228s. All right, so the 28s are almost in the money. So those have moved quite well over the last 2 days. So with regard to NVIDIA, traded this quite a few times off of this 200 EMA, off the 20 EMA. I also traded it during the day on some of these moves. Okay, today I got back in right around the low of the day in this area here. It was around lunchtime. A lot of times you can get out early in the morning and get back into a trade around noon. The highs are usually in the morning when newbie traders are chasing these things up, and then it finds a support area where you can see stochastics and MACD are both cruising higher, just grinding away. The hourly has turned back, and 15 minutes overbought, but that's okay. This is looking pretty good, NVIDIA. Looking for this to continue, move above the 50, which it tested right here, 50 EMA. I'm looking for this to break out and these Bollinger Bands to expand. That'd be quite nice. I'm currently in 200 common. I'm not trading options on NVIDIA, so I can afford to wait for this one to move higher. Okay. GS, as I mentioned, I got into this today. When I was looking at the daily chart and the stochastics, I reconfigured this because FinViz is actually showing this laying out a little bit differently. But if you connect this pivot point, this pivot point, and this pivot point, you got the upper trend line. Okay, so I just made a parallel line, and I had a pivot point here, pivot point here, pivot point. So this stands to reason to be a pivot point, and lo and behold, after hours we traded up to 53.25. That was our last. So 53.25 is going to look pretty good tomorrow. That'll be right up in here around 50 EMA on the 30-minute. Okay, so I'm looking for GS to continue the momentum higher tomorrow, in which case I may actually 54 is right at the top of this candle, so I'd like to see this move higher and get up at least to the 80 EMA before I bail on this particular position. I may take half of them off and leave a couple on. Okay, so that's GS. Bollinger Bands are widening, but you notice how this is starting to flatten out ever so lightly at the top here, showing that this momentum may have stopped or slowed down at least. You can see we punched out of this. Would have been nice to see a close above this candle. It'd be a little bit too much to ask for, being the size of this candle is 6 points. Okay, so I think traders are taking this a little bit timidly over the weekend. Looking at Thursday, people may not even be in it. And sprints, this is just a sprint. You know, this is like an options play for me. A 4,000 common. It's a cheap option that won't expire. And with Bollinger Bands compressing, eventually we're gonna get out of this area here, and I believe move higher. Note stochastics have turned, not making it quite to the midpoint. So watching sprint. And last but not least, I got a couple of May 100s on FFIV, and this one took off after hours. 112. Wow. So these will be very nicely in the money tomorrow by 12 points. Alright, so I bought those just before the close, looking for momentum play higher. The May 100s, and I only got 2 of them, so that'll be a nice trade tomorrow. So anyway, this is Cousin Vinny coming to you from Day Trading Radio, where we can talk about trades like this in the room, and think about taking the free trial. and come and join us for a couple of weeks and see what we can do for you in the way of making some money. Take care, and remember to take your stops. Happy Easter, and I'll see you in the room tomorrow, and probably bail early in the evening. Take care.